with the mayor. Next item.
That brings us to item number 7, called special for Councilmember Parks.
Mr. Parks.
Thank you. Have the department staff come up, please. Good morning. I just wanted to get a couple of things clarified. This issue has come up over and over again, but one of the concerns, or several of the concerns I have, is that in dealing with the color of the weapon, whether an officer, we're asking them in the middle of a dynamic situation of a split-second decision for them to make a decision of whether the color of the weapon is more dangerous than another color, and particularly that we have information that gun manufacturers are now making real guns in different colors, which makes it even more difficult. And the final thing is that if the weapon, no matter if it's an air pistol or a BB gun, if it shoots a projectile, and some of the air rifles have the power of a .22 caliber gun, how do we tell an officer that in that split second you have another set of circumstances that puts you in danger while you're trying to assess what's being pointed at you is less dangerous?
I'm Captain Williams, Commanding Officer, Commercial Crimes Division, and I have 2 officers from Gang and Narcotics Division that are experts, and so I'll defer to them.
You know, sir, we're not going to change our department policy on use of force. You bring up some very good points. However, what occurred back in, I think it was November of 2010, if there's anything we can do to stop that from happening again, where a 14-year-old boy was shot by LAPD, and he had in his possession a plastic airsoft gun. That's what we're looking to do, to prevent. Chief Beck has been behind this from the get-go. We've been up to the state of California looking for a new state law. We didn't get that, but they did allow us to change one of the government code sections to let us be a little bit tougher on the airsoft guns. Go ahead.
But what I'm concerned about is that in an effort, and I think even in the department report it says it may prevent a future officer-involved shooting, but on the other hand, it may cause a major injury or death to law enforcement. And I don't know if that's, in my judgment, a proper balance.
Again, the bad guys, anyone could have painted a gun blue, orange, or pink over the last 20, 30 years. We're not seeing a lot of that occur. It is going to be the totality of the circumstances as the officers encounter these, either the kids or the bad guys with these firearms or these airsoft guns. We are going to do training with LAPD to give them a heads up on what we're doing or what we're trying to do in the city of Los Angeles. And again, as you know, sir, we've got the best officers in the world. They'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, I think we have the best officers in the world, but I'd hate to see we handcuff them and put them in a more dangerous situation than they should be, because it's really their reaction to the actions of the suspect. And from my point of view, which may be limited, but my point of view, if somebody points something at you that looks like a gun, that you have a certain defense mechanism to defend yourself and your partner in the community and sort out whether that person that pointed that object that looked like a gun is a real gun, play gun, a purple gun, a red gun. But I don't think you have that chance on the front end while you're in that dynamic split-second decision. And any hesitation that we put in that officer's mind, and then we later bemoan the fact to the family, that's the first officer that died from a real gun that looked like a play gun.
Sir, I think this harkens back to the issue of the proper amount of training, and with something like this coming into play, it just causes the department as a whole to readdress and reassess those training issues. I don't feel that it's a whole lot different than an officer making a split decision if he were confronted with a knife. And it comes down to the training we provide our officers regarding cover and concealment when they enter a situation to try and circumvent something like that from occurring. But I know that Chief Beck has supported this from the beginning and continues to do so. And I would say that there's going to be a component of training added to this to limit it. But if we're farther down the road than we were yesterday on events similar to what occurred in 2010 with this ordinance, then I feel it's a good thing.
Okay. Mr. Parks, if you want to push your button again.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Blumenfeld?
Not
Okay. Mr. Cedillo?
We addressed this matter in.
You got to stand up, Gil.
Thank you. I'm happy to. We addressed this matter in the legislature. We're happy to support you and the chief. My only question is, are there more things we can do? Because the concerns were raised. The production of real weapons and toy weapons are producing things that look identical. And so are there requirements that we can put on the production of toy weapons, things that we can do to make sure, without being overburdening these other industries that exist in our communities, but to enhance the safety of the officers? I mean, this
is
really
a good
our
start,
concern.
sir. You know, again, this is not unique to the city of Los Angeles. It's occurred all through the United States. What we need is we'd like to see the state pick up a little bit of the slack between what the city of Los Angeles can do. It'd be nice to see them jump on board somewhere down the road and copy what we're doing. We tried to do it at a state level, we couldn't. But this is a very good start. The toy industry, the paintball industry, and the Airsoft, they've grown leaps and bounds over the last probably 10, 15 years. And you cannot tell the difference between these guns. And they're, again, as Councilmember Park said, they are getting to the point where they're dangerous, whether they're being pointed at a person either at this distance or a little bit further, 30 yards. So it's a good start.
And at one time, we didn't have plastic red tips on some of these replica firearms, and now we do. So with the advent of this, coloring them, I think it's one more positive step in the right direction to try and limit the type of incidents we experienced in 2010.
And the last piece is this is for the LA County area, the change in the government code. So if the city of Los Angeles does it, we are hoping that other entities within the county follow suit.
Very good. Mr. Parks, for a second time.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment on one issue when you made the comment about the knives. Knives are somewhat different in the fact that you have distance and people have to throw it. This is a projectile that can be shot from the distance of a person that is aiming at you, which makes it a little different. What I'm concerned about is when you train officers and tell them their identification of a color makes them more safe than another color. We're making them make a decision that they don't have all the information on, and that's what my concern is. And I don't know how much training we can give them, particularly in a split-second decision that you see something. And as you know, handling shootings, most times you're talking about split-second, where you see a blur, you see a movement, you see a shiny object, you see a lot of things quickly, you assess them. You have no ability to see if there's a hole in the barrel or anything else. And as we've seen some of the replicas, they look identical to regular guns. But to give an officer a situation that red means something different than a blue steel, I just think we put him at a dangerous disadvantage.
You raise a salient issue, Councilman, but again, I think it comes down to a great degree of training, experience on the part of the individual officer, and we play like we scrimmage. If you treat each situation the same every time you approach a door, expecting that there may be somebody on the other side of that door that has it in for you, then you're going to approach every situation the same. And whether the person takes out an airsoft pistol or a real firearm, if you've provided the proper training to teach the officers the difference between cover and concealment, and granted, they are split-second decisions, we can only hope for the best. But this is definitely a step in the right direction.
Lieutenant and Sergeant Captain, thank you all for your comments. There's no other speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll on this. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes, 1 no.
Okay. Set it forthwith on that item. Note Mr. Saxon.